Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tour Junkies After Dark, presented by DraftKings. It is late. It is late on Monday evening.
Very late.
The moon is full. The unnamed adult beverages are flowing.
Are you using the same cup you used last week? Because that's what it looks like. Did you wash that cup?
Well, I mean, Pat, you know this. Going to the Masters as often as we've been privileged to do, you get many of these cups. I've accumulated dozens of these cups over the years.
I'm just making sure the listeners
likely
know
it is
that
not
you
the same cup.
Very hygienic. I'm using a different cup myself. Actually, I'm using a cup for my kids' school.
H. Just the letter. This show is brought to you by the letter H.
The
big ass
H.
letter on Pat's cup. Yeah. I have upgraded to AirPods this week, as many of you commented that the cords were bothering you. So I took care of that.
Yeah. I can't have AirPods because you won't let me buy them through the TJ account. You're very frugal.
We're not making enough money. Not enough people are liking the content we're putting out. So we just got to make do.
Well, then let's make do with TJ After Dark like it was last week, which was freaking awesome. So
yeah.
Let's go.
Last week was a good time. One thing we're going to do different, though, going forward is last week's episode was a little long. Many of you probably still haven't watched the full episode, so we're gonna shorten it up a little bit. We're going to get to the picks. We're going to get to the debates. We're going to give you our DraftKings sportsbook plays as well towards the end. Pat, I just saw Pat remembering that he didn't do that.
You know me all too well. I was like, oh, I forgot to look at the freaking sports book. So, yeah, you're going to go first with your picks, and then the whole time I'm going to try to figure this thing out.
I could see it. I'm watching him go, whoa. I forgot to look at the DraftKings sportsbook picks. People, let me tell you something. This is what I deal with on a weekly basis. We've been doing this over 3 years now. I deal with this on a weekly basis. And a lot of you don't know this, but Pat is as OCD as they come. Like, this cat is OCD.
True.
I mean, like, ugh. You wouldn't believe the stuff this guy has to. But he's not OCD enough to remember, certain things that we have to do as tour junkies. So here we go. All right, let's start off with a little bit about the course. Very little about the course. Waste Management Phoenix Open, also known as the Wasted Management Phoenix Open. One of the most fun golf tournaments on the PGA Tour at TPC Scottsdale. It's not a super long course. They're playing at elevation, ball go far. Got to score points. Got to score a lot of DraftKings points, birdies and eagles. Strokes gained off the tee matters. Opportunities gained matters. It's going to be a good time. Really fun tournament to watch. Love it on Sunday. You get the last round of the Waste Management and Super Bowl all at the same time. It's going to be awesome. So there you go. Pat.
I feel like I know exactly where you're going with this version.
Yeah, and okay, so me and Pat just wrapped up the podcast, the Tour Junkies podcast, which you can go listen to anywhere you listen to podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, all those things. And Pat, last week I nailed you on a few players. I made you defend a couple of players, and I would say I got the best of you for the most part on those picks last week.
You did. I had the better week, but you did in general on DraftKings. But you got the better of me as far as these arguments, you might say, are concerned. I'm a little distracted right now, by the way. I'm trying to get logged into my DraftKings sportsbook account, and it's not working. So anyway, go ahead.
Wow, you come ill prepared, man. We're supposed to be professionals here. This is supposed to be a professional.
That's what happens, TJ After Dark. You never know what's going to go on. But here's the thing: I probably will be ready by the time we hit the odds-on favorites.
Just forget it. I have some picks, and mine are probably better than yours anyway. Just forget it. All right. I went after you for this guy last week, and I was right. And I'm coming again. You mentioned on the podcast that you liked one Rickie Fowler yet again. And I was on you last week about it, and he finished like 66th. And you're back on the Rickie Fowler train this week. I'm gonna need you to explain what it is about Fowler that you're in love with again this week.
Look, here's the thing. We talked about this on the podcast, and Rickie, yes, he didn't outperform or whatever you want to call it, his price tag on DraftKings with the Farmers, but he did make the cut which we talked about. That was kind of the major thing. You know, he missed a cut for like 4 straight years, but he finally made a cut. Hey, listen, that's an improvement. And you know what? This is a perfect course for Rickie to play well on. He checks all the boxes. This is, look, it's a great price for him. I'm a little interested to see where ownership is going to fall, but I don't see how you can't not play him. I think he's just a fantastic play. He's going to be one of my higher-owned guys. He's got good course history here, so better than we looked at last week as far as the Farmers was concerned. Off the tee was your number one stat. Your number one stat. When we talked about the course and everything else on the podcast, and you know what? He checks the box off the tee. He's a scorer. So why would you not take him? I need to know reasons why not to take some Rickie Fowler this week.
Why does your voice get really high when you get mad, when you start yelling?
No, that's just kind of the thing that happens. You know, I'm getting excited, passionate.
Let me tell you why. Let me school you, Pat,
okay,
on why you should avoid Rickie Fowler. You should avoid Rickie Fowler. And Pat loves course history when it's convenient to his argument, is basically what happens.
True. Yes.
Facts only. Now, here's the other thing. Pat thinks that he's going to get away with some brilliant, under-owned GPP move here with Rickie Fowler. Nay. Okay? Just nay. Fowler is always popular. It doesn't matter. Last week, that means no. Like, nay. Like, Fowler is always popular because he's Rickie Fowler. Everybody loves Rickie Fowler. Last week at the Farmers, a course that he had zero history on, zero business of playing well on, he's on average like 16% owned across most DraftKings GPPs. Then he goes out to Farmers, and you're happy with his T66 and his untucked shirt.
I'm just saying it's an improvement. By the way, how can you hate on the shirt? Now, come on, let's not go that far. You have to have liked the shirt.
I don't mind it, but everybody, if you've listened to us long enough, you know what a stick in the mud Pat can be when it comes to. I mean, look at him; he's wearing a damn collared shirt on Tour Junkies After Dark. I mean, I can't even believe you're even happy with the guy after he wore his untucked Hawaiian shirt or whatever it was at the Farmers last week. But that's not even my best argument. It's not even my best argument that he is going to be more popular than you think he is. Okay, but it's also this. The number one most important piece of equipment in any golfer's game, Pat, is not the driver, not the irons, not the wedges, not the putter, not his coach, not his caddy. It is his golf ball. It is his golf ball. We hear it from player after player when we interview him. The golf ball matters. Well, what has Rickie just recently done? And the Farmers was his first golf tournament playing with a brand new golf ball, a good golf ball. And not that he's not tested it, but it showed as he lost 5 strokes. 5 strokes in approach at the Farmers. In other words, his distances he could not control with the golf ball. He didn't have it right. Now he's going to Phoenix where he's going to play at elevation, and the distances are going to be even weirder. Plus, Bryson DeChambeau showed us last week that air density matters. What if he forgets to miscalculate that? So, there's just too many variables. And yes, he's got a good history, but you're not going to get Rickie under 15%, and the ball is a real thing. The ball is a real thing.
My first reaction when I start hearing DeChambeau, golf ball, density is just...
Yeah.
Nobody gives a damn about all of that stuff.
Well, the street lights are on, so your old ass is ready to go to sleep. So I get it.
Yeah, but whatever. Rickie Fowler's going to play well this week. If you want, hey, listen, who's the guy on the heater? Not you. I am.
That's true.
Play some Rickie. All right.
Well,
so let me bring up a guy then. All right. Since you seem to always want to start it off, I'm going to start here with.
Well, I'm just shocked you're ready. Normally you're not ready, so I'm giving you time.
Matt Kuchar for me. You were huge on some Matt Kuchar in the podcast. Look, he's a guy. Everybody's popular. I mean, everybody loves some Matt.
Everybody's popular.
Everybody's popular, like me. No, everybody loves some Kuchar. He's always popular every week, week in and week out. You know what? You're getting him at a pretty cheap price tag for him at $9,200. I don't know. Sometimes he's usually in that 8K range. Yeah, he's got good course history. But you know what? He's 89th off the tee. He doesn't check the box in par 5 scoring. You've got to score good on these par 5s here. There's 3 easily gettable par fives that you could score on. Doesn't check the box there. He's almost always very high owned. He will be one of the higher owned plays in the 9K range and above. And I don't see it with Matt Kuchar. I don't see, especially for a tournament play. Now, cash, I can get on board with some Kuch, but not for a tournament. Not if you want to win that big $5 entry tournament or whatever. You don't want any Kuch. Nope. Not for me. Come on, tell me what you think.
That's a weak argument. And your strokes gained off the tee metric, I hear you. You're looking at a long-term span there, but in the short term, in his last 12 rounds, he is checking the box on strokes gained off the tee. Also checks the box in opportunities gained. He's hitting it well with his irons. Scores better than you think in terms of DraftKings points. Tremendous history here. 5th place last year, 9th the year before that, 30th in 2015. We just saw him winning at the Sony. Okay? Like, the Matt Kuchar is kind of back, and I don't think he's going to be that popular. I do think he could be 12 to 15%.
No, he's going to be higher owned than that. No way. It's Kuch, man. Every week he's high owned.
People do not need to listen to Pat Perry when it comes to ownership. I will just tell you that right now. But when he is below Phil Mickelson at this golf tournament, the Waste Management, people are going to love to play Phil here. Finau's right there. People are going to want to jump up and play Hideki. Like, I don't think Kuchar's going to fit in a lot of lineups that people want to build. And I think they're going to lean towards Phil. So I don't think he's going to be as popular as he has been in the past. I mean, a lot of people forget, like, Kuch didn't have the best 2018. So people are just dipping their toe in for a pretty popular tournament right now as NFL's winding down. If people are just kind of dipping their toe in right now for the Waste Management because it's cool and they're remembering 2018 Kuch and they're not really paying attention to the fact that he just won at Waialae, he may not be as popular as you think. So I'm in on Kuch. You've not changed my mind. And the fact that you even said you would play him in cash shows me that it's not a bad pick and you're just trying to find some chink in the armor that is DB, and you can't.
Okay, yeah, all right. Well, what do you got? What's next? Because I know you've got another guy that you want to hate on me about. So
I got one more, and he's right below Kuchar in Bubba Watson, and I think this is going to be another.
Oh, come on, man! You can't be hating on Bubba.
And I like Bubba. I'm not a Bubba hater, but I don't like him right now. Bubba is sucking hind teat right now in golf. He's just not doing well. He missed the cut at the
sucking what?
Huh?
What is he sucking?
Hind teat. You never heard that expression? Like
what is
you're the last one of the puppy on the teat, like you're the last one? You're the last one in the litter
to the
Yeah. That's kind of what he's doing. He missed the cut at the Sony. Oh, and then you look at his course history, you're like, oh, he finished 31st at the Tournament of Champions out of 31 players.
Yeah, but I didn't say that.
And then you look at the Hero, and you're like, oh, he finished 12th. Yeah, out of 17. Like, he's not playing well at all. And I will say he's had some decent finishes here, but
finishes here.
He's had decent finishes here.
He's been incredible on this course. What are you talking about?
Okay, T40 last year, missed the cut the year before, so his recent history's not great. Now, he does have back-to-back runner-up finishes in 2014 and 2015, but I think Bubba is an easy fade here. There is something broken with the Bubba game right now. It's just not there. He's not hitting his irons well. He's not taking advantage of his length. I think it's an easy fade. I'll avoid the Bubba play.
In about 40 rounds on this course, Bubba is minus 100 under par. Minus 100 under par. The guy scores. He talks about how... Here's the thing about Bubba. He is the course history guy. If you want to pick out a guy who you want to play when he loves a course, he's the perfect one. He talks about Riviera. He loves Riviera. He talks about Augusta National. Obviously, he's played well there. He loves this course. I like to play Bubba when he is on a course that he loves. And it has happened time and time again. You look at Riviera, where he's won a few years in a row, or not in a row, but he's won a few times there. Also, the Masters as well. If he likes the course, I think you play him, and he loves this course. He plays well on this course. look, you don't have to be accurate off the tee. You can bomb it all over the place. He said that himself. He said he can just throw it out there, spray it all around. Doesn't really matter. It's wide open for him. So I love that for Bubba. He's going to score out here. He's going to own these par fives. I think the price is fine with him at 8,900 there. So I'm all in on some Bubba Watson this week. I don't care about what his recent form is or whatever, because you can find it on courses that you love. That's one thing I've learned when you're watching golf. If you watch golf, that's the biggest thing out there. You got to watch golf actually to see how these guys play on these courses. He plays well here, so I like some Bubba. You haven't changed my mind on him at all. As a matter of fact, I think I just changed your mind on him.
I was about to say, you're reading me well. I was about to say, I like your argument in that guys can play well on courses that they have a lot of good history on, and Bubba is definitely, you're right, he is definitely a course history guy. However, I would argue that he loves this course. Do you remember years ago when Bubba said the only reason he showed up here is because of sponsor responsibilities? He vocally said that to the media.
Yeah, but then he found out that he actually plays well here. So
yeah,
I think the reason that he didn't like this course was, well, actually, I think it wasn't the course. I think it was the tournament itself. This course, the tournament is not Bubba's thing. You know, when you talk about the rowdy crowds out there, all that kind of stuff, you know, he's sort of a conservative type guy. You got all these people just getting hammered and all that kind of stuff. So I think it was more the tournament itself and the atmosphere and the drunkards out there like you. I think that's really what Bubba. I couldn't even say that seriously. What Bubba didn't like, other than the course. He's fine with the course. He kills this course.
All right. You got anybody else on me? I'm done with you. That's all I can. That's all.
One more guy. You talked about Luke List. I just cannot get on board with Luke List. We were talking about this on the podcast. Just not a fan. I think he's a guy that everybody wants to play. Everybody wants to play to think that he's just going to outperform every single week. He never does, and I'm just not on Luke List at all. He's not great course history here. Just get over him. Get over Luke List. Be done with him. I know he's now living in your town of Augusta and whatever else, but it's time to move on. Move on from Luke List.
A lot of overgeneralizations there, Patrick. If the people back up the tape and listen closely, a lot of overgeneralizations. Everyone always likes to play Luke List. He always underperforms his price tag. That is all false. That is all false, okay? In 2018, Luke List was definitely a DFS darling. I will give you that. But the love affair has simmered a little bit with Luke List. If you look at his last event, the Farmers, he was 13% owned. We used to never get 13% owned Luke List, okay? And now, he's trending in the right direction. He missed the cut at the Desert Classic, his first event in 2019. Comes back at the Farmers last week, finishes T40, but here's what he did that he didn't do.
Man, he's missed 2 out of the last 3 cuts here at the Waste Management.
Okay, hold on. I'm talking about recent form right now. Here's what he did at the Farmers last week that he didn't do at the Desert Classic. He gained strokes tee to green. In fact, he gained 5 strokes, more than 5 strokes tee to green, 3.5 off the tee and 1 in approach, but he couldn't putt. As we always talk about, putting is what can come and go. So if the putting just regulates a little bit and Luke's still firing on all cylinders like he showed last week, I think he could have a tremendous week. And I know the course history isn't great, but it got better. He missed the cut his first 2 events, but Luke List is a different player. He was a different player in 2018 than he was in 2016 and 2017. He's better, and he's a better player now. So with the T26 last year, it shows me that this place does fit Luke List. From a course fit standpoint, you can't argue it. He bombs the ball off the tee. He is number 1 in this field in strokes gained off the tee, whether you look at short term or long term. He hits his irons well when he's on, as demonstrated just last week. It's all about the putter for him, which is the case for everyone. And when you get him at $8,000, and you're probably going to get him at a little lower ownership than we're used to seeing in 2018, I think he is definitely in play. I like him so much, I will play him in cash. Cash money.
No.
Boom.
Wouldn't do it at all. Big fail there, not happening. All right, let's go. Let's talk about some bets. I actually got this pulled up now, so I can talk about it.
Amazing. All right. I got 4 bets that I like. Now, the people know I really like some long shots. I had a hard time going too deep in this one. The Waste Management is becoming one of the stronger fields on the PGA Tour rotation that's not a major and it's not the Players. So I think for that reason, you're going to see a lot of cream rise to the top. I don't want to go too long in the odds, so I don't have any triple-digit winners here. But I'm going to start out at 2 guys at 80 to 1. In fact, the first one is Luke List. I just gave him to you. I have Luke List at 80 to 1. I think that's a really nice price for him. I just mentioned all the reasons why I think it's a good price. The second guy that I like at 80 to 1 is Ryan Palmer, which is kind of nuts. But I like it. He's in form. He just finished 13th at the Farmers. He finished runner-up here in 2015. He's got a little bit of history to go off of. He hasn't done well lately, but that's why he's 80 to 1 here at the Waste Management. But he is a bomber. If he can keep it somewhat on the playing field, he can take advantage of his length, but he's got great iron play. He is top 4 in opportunities gained in both the short term and long term right now. So the irons are dialed in. I like Ryan Palmer at 80 to 1. And then finally at 50 to 1, Zach Johnson. Zach Johnson at 50 to 1. I don't understand it. He's a proven PGA Tour winner. This is not a course where you have to bomb it. If he keeps it in the fairway, if he keeps it in the short grass, he can play really well here. He's gained 20 strokes here in the last 4 years. He plays really well on this golf course. We saw him at the Desert Classic, finish 28th. You give me a multiple major champion, multiple PGA Tour winner, a guy who can win on any surface, in any conditions, long course, short course, don't care. Zach Johnson at 50 to 1. I'll throw a couple units on a little Zach Johnson at 50 to 1. Those are my 3 bets. Palmer, List, and ZJ.
I thought you said 4 early on. Did you miss one?
No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say 4. It's TJ After Dark. Just move on.
So, all right. I got a few here. I'm going to go shorter odds. I like Mickelson at 20 to 1. He played well the Desert Classic, obviously. And, I don't know how much I'm going to play him in my DraftKings lineups. So I may just then go with throwing a little bit of cash on him with the odds at 20 to 1. So I like that. And I'm not saying I don't like him in your lineups this week for DFS, but that's one of the things I like to do. Sometimes if I don't end up having a guy in my lineups on DFS, I might throw a few bets in on him. So I like him at 20 to 1. And then also, I like some Jason Kokrak at 66 to 1. He was a guy that I was on last week. He played well. I think he can play well again this week. This is a perfect course for him, so I like him at 66 to 1. And then another guy that I talked about on the podcast that I think is always just sort of an underrated play, a guy that's a scorer that can win. He won the RSM Classic a few years ago. That is Austin Cook at 100 to 1 in the DraftKings Sportsbook. I think that's great odds for him. When you look at DFS, he's sandwiched in there right between your boy Luke List and a guy like Zach Johnson. But I like him from a gambling standpoint at 100 to 1. I think that's a good play there. So Austin Cook. Boom.
Okay. All right. I'd much rather have an 80 to 1 Luke List over a 66 to 1 Jason Kokrak.
I'm not showing him at 80 to 1. I'm showing him less than that. But I can't.
Maybe
I'm
the
showing
line
it
moved.
70 to 1.
Oh, the line moved on me. I checked that this afternoon. See, look at that. The Sharps are betting Luke List down to 70.
List.
Yeah, because I checked the number at like noon today or 1 o'clock or something today.
The Sharps aren't sharp.
They must have seen our notes ahead of time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching another episode of Tour Junkies After Dark presented by DraftKings. We hope you guys have a fantastic week. We will be back next week. I believe it's the Pebble Beach Pro-Am next week, which will be gearing us up for the U.S. Open, a little U.S. Open preview there, Pebble Beach. So come back and watch next week, and we'll continue to have a great time. And you know what we hope for you? We hope your screens are green, because if your screens are green, DraftKings is losing money on you. That's what we're here to do. Help DraftKings lose money because you're winning. Right, Pat?
Right. Fun.
Right. All right.